Taoiseach, this morning we had the annual commemoration of the Easter Rising at Arbour Hill, and with the centenary approaching, no doubt we'll have a lot of discussion and debate on the values and the ideals of the Easter Rising. There's one particular principle from the proclamation that I want to mention, and it's where it proclaimed the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state, with the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland, and the phrase that I'm quoting is the unfettered control of Irish destinies. Now, we've had many threats to our sovereignty in the past, but I want to look at one in particular today that is threatening our sovereignty, and that is TTIP. Now, it has been presented to us in glowing terms that it's going to raise EU GDP, that it's going to create hundreds and thousands of jobs. But there are grave concerns being raised by many politicians, by trade unions, by civil society, by NGOs right throughout Europe and further. Because the aim of TTIP is to remove any regulatory barrier to profits and the profit-making potential of multinational and transnational companies. And it will have massive implications on workers' rights, on food safety, on banking, on the environment, on agriculture, just to mention a few. But one particular aspect I want to look at, and that is on education. Because education, being included in TTIP, has the potential to do irreparable damage to our education system in Ireland. And it's the ISDS mechanism is going to give foreign investors a right to sue a sovereign state, a democratically elected government, for the loss of profit resulting from public policy decisions. So secret decisions made in boardrooms overseas would have more control over our education system than the Department of Education, than the Minister for Education, because it's going to open the door to a proliferation of private and for-profit schools and colleges. There was a report, an American congressional report done on the for-profit education sector, and it found a 64% student dropout rate. And it found also that the funding in the area of education, it was actually 17% was spent on instruction. So we know that there is considerable pressure to expand the scope of education commitments in TTIP, but I'm asking that you will ensure that education is excluded from TTIP, and I'm also wondering if you've had any discussions with the Minister for Education on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. The issue of TTIP is one that is currently underway and under negotiation. The opportunity that exists for Europe and the United States, the two biggest trading blocs on the planet, to do a series of trade agreements is nothing new. It's been talked about for over 20 years, and the opportunity exists if agreement can be reached to create approximately 2 million jobs either side of the Atlantic and set down the standards for world trade for many years to come. This is not without difficulty, and obviously each side has a number of concerns that are very close to their individual policy positions that they find difficulty in changing or in dealing with. And they've been outlined by different countries in Europe and by the United States. I feel, Deputy Sullivan, that if TTIP is not dealt with sort of by the end of this year, it's unlikely as if it's going to be concluded in the lifetime of the Obama administration. Now, there are two good teams working on this across a whole range of sectors. There were perceptions put out there that Europe was afraid to table the difficult issues and that the United States was afraid to table the difficult issues. That's not actually true, in respect of tariffs and procurement, these issues are being tabled and new offers being made. But there are quite a number of chapters of TTIP still to go. I would say in respect of the education system, we have a unique advantage in this country here, in that when you speak to investors from abroad, one of the outstanding qualities of Ireland's attractiveness is the flexibility of our education system and the creativity and the ingenuity of our young people. That's exemplified by the investment by Science Foundation Ireland in so many areas that measure up to challenges that other countries have not been able to meet. And I think that's an endorsement of the confidence of our young people and indeed of our education system, tutors, teachers, parents and students. I wouldn't like to see a situation where where the public education system that we have, which has stood by this country for a very long time and has turned out exemplary students of exceptionally high quality in so many cases, and has made its mark, would be a victim of TTIP negotiations. And insofar as Ireland is concerned, we will want to maintain our system of education, able to measure up to these issues. The team negotiating the different elements of TTIP obviously will have to give consideration to the point that you raise, and Ireland will be very vigilant that nothing will be tabled, nothing will be agreed that would in any way damage our capacity to continue to operate at the very highest level of education standards.
Thank you.
With other similar trade agreements, there have been countries that have been sued for massive amounts of money by particular multinational companies and transnational companies. So that's the first point I make. And the second point is, I was in the education system. I was a teacher for very many years, so I know what our education system is about. And I do think we have to be concerned at the possibility of an increasing commercialisation and privatisation of our education system if TTIP includes education. About 2 weeks ago, I had been at a seminar organised by the Irish Federation of University Teachers and the TUI, and the topic was higher education as a public good. And the concerns being expressed there were that our colleges, our institutions of education, our universities have to be independent in order to encourage, enable, facilitate independent thinking, challenging thinking, innovative thinking. And that can be threatened and that will be undermined if education is part of TTIP, because it will limit government's ability to frame public education policy in a way that ensures the public good. Now, we're all public representatives, and surely serving the public good is our driving force. So how can we possibly be involved in agreeing with an agreement, a trade agreement, that is undermining and jeopardising the public good? And at the very least, can you allow for a debate in this chamber on all of the implications that are involved with TTIP? We did have some presentations at the Foreign Affairs Committee, but I do think there is a need for a full debate here, and I'm asking that would happen.
Thank you.
The government will not stand for a position where the education system in this country will be privatised. Clearly, universities, colleges of technology, colleges of further education, the secondary system, the primary system, there are private schools operating in the country, and that's perfectly allowable. But we have no intention of going along with any proposition that would privatise the Irish education system. We have been served very well in difficult times and over the years by an education system that has been capable of changing direction to deal with the new challenges that are up ahead. And that's going to be required even more so with the rate of change that's happening in so many areas out there now. And yet you'll understand yourself, as somebody involved in the system, that the confidence and the capacity of our education system and our students to deal with those changes is second to none. I'm very, very optimistic and pleased at the response that I see on such a regular basis, where they meet these challenges and beat them in terms of their peers around the world. So there's no proposition has crossed government's desk for any potential to privatise the Irish education system, and in this government we won't stand for that.
Thank you.